So, my guest today is Roberto Capodieci, someone who's been riding the cutting edge of tech for over 3 decades now. Video games, forensics, blockchain, decentralized systems, and AI. He's been through all of it. Really super glad to have him on this episode. And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, so first question, how have you kept up as the ground kept shifting? I think this matters more than ever right now because the common narrative you hear that developer and tech roles are about to die out, but you've managed to reinvent yourselves through every major shift.
I
And
would
I'd love to hear what you think about it. Yeah, like what's your secret to the longevity of your career?
Okay, look at this. When I started the coding, I used a Commodore VIC-20. Okay, actually, I started coding even before a small calculator programmable in BASIC. But the Commodore VIC-20 had 3.5 hertz of speed or kilobytes. So it was really like a machine where you can explore every corner of its universe, right? Now processor have thousands of instructions, even the assembly is complex. So you need to face things in a different way. When knowing computer means literally computers, now you cannot say that anymore because the things that can be done, the opportunity, the possibility are unlimited. So the mentality need to change. Is no more a technical take on very specific specs that you may know by mentioning the numbers, the memory addresses, and things like that, to more a psychological approach on how computer thinks, how it works, so that you can, in a way, embrace any sort of technology, even if you never saw it until one second before, right? So this approach is nice because allow you to have a grasp on different technology for implementation, different part of how the software grows, etc., etc. AI is a brilliant aspect because it's the mysterious mystery box that not even people that do that know how it's actually working, right? So in all aspect, communication, telecommunication, those are fascinating things for me since ever. And so once you love it, explore it with curiosity. Then all you
Yeah.
learn become an asset that you can sell in the consulting, in being used as an implementation, and so on and so forth. It become easy. People knows you, come to you, and they say, "Hey, you're the one
Yeah.
of the computer. Can you fix my VCR? It's blinking all night long?" That kind
Yeah.
of.
I think a big case for you is that you have fun with it all the time. And we were talking about it earlier where, I saw some, maybe I'll link some of the videos you have where you kind of like, you made it your life. You started at 10 making video games and it's just been a part of your life. And as long as you enjoy it, I think you can always have your career keep going and you could always stay in tech and it will never really die out for you, so to speak. And do you think that that has like a big impact, the fact that you enjoy it so much? Do you think you mentioned curiosity, but like if you love the process, do you think that's a major part? You mentioned how computers are less technical now and it's more of like a psychological thing.
See, think something like this. I think the creating in technology is very similar to an art form. A painter, a real, truly powerful, artist painter, even is going to be unable to sell his paints. He's going to give them for free to people that he feels are nice. And so that's why every painter need to have next to them a very cold agent that, do the cold part of asking money, etc., etc. So when you are a developer that does things with love, really you are maybe, I had companies with up to 60 people working, but I also work as a consultant individually. It's
Yeah.
hard to sit down and write an invoice because it feels wrong, it feels almost like you were
Getting
not
paid for
that bad
something you
to
wanted to
actually
do.
charge that. So
Yeah.
there is another problem that when you do things as a research, as a curiosity, you do the first 19% with excitement. The last 10%
Mm.
becomes the harder part because you already know you can do it, right? So
Yeah.
it becomes annoying to have to finish and things.
It's just a grunt work.
So
You
it
know.
takes a mix of discipline when doing things as a work, but the big enjoyment of doing things and getting new challenge and discover new things. That then you find out there is a lot of people that come to you and say, "Oh my God, I saw your paper you wrote and how to do this thing," and you know what. it is beautiful. So it's a mix of the two things. But if somebody excel only in one of the two, it's not gonna work. I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I do want to like kind of drill down into what you said about how computers, how working with computers has changed, and particularly within the past few years. You started off
Mm.
on the Commodore 2064. Which one did you say it was?
Big 20, yeah, the one before the
Yeah, I think
64 came out. 64 was
that
already,
one.
wow, an immense
Well,
universe compared to the Big 20.
even before that, and in some ways I think you're always a bit ahead of the curve, and you see where things are going. For example, OT Docs was one of the companies
Oh my God.
you're a CEO of that, and you were automating paperwork, certifying documents, all of that stuff. And how did you even think about these problems back before the age of LLMs, when computers didn't really understand documents and processing the same way they did now? What was your thinking behind it?
So, okay, there are a lot of interesting aspects. But I start answering your last question that when I was 14, okay, I got a commission from a very large company. And full disclosure, my father was the general manager, so it was an easy sale. But they had many offices around territorially, and they had that quarter where all the mail was arriving for everybody. So the things that my father asked to me was just a system to scan all the mail that arrived and distributed it with the computer. I went over that. I also made something that with touch screen, and attention at the time that didn't exist. So we're going to a place where they were actually building in glass on top of a monitor that was going to be half open. Really pioneering things. I'm talking, I was 14, so you consider 1988, this thing, okay? So we were going to Apple because we convinced Apple this is a cool thing, and Apple was giving us computer at discount price to develop on it. And so people could pick up the phone, discuss a document, and with a finger highlight some area of the document, which will show highlighted on the other side of the other person. Okay, so you
Oh, that's
can move
awesome.
to the
Okay.
document, you were controlling it. Now will be like a half an hour
And
coding
yeah,
solution.
and
You
this
can
is
do it.
back in the 1980s, right? Like way,
Yeah,
way back.
exactly correct. And
Yeah.
then we started moving because the company had an IBM IS 36, I think. So 36, yes. And we bridged the coaxial cable that those IBM mainframe had to get to the terminal. With the Apple Talk, there was another strange network system for Apple. And pretty much we made the computer. There was the Apple Performa, Apple, those first that look like a small mushroom, right, they're coming out to be a smart terminal. So we were taking data from the AS36, S38, I forgot what it was correctly, which I studied in school actually how to code for those IBM mainframe. And then we were displaying data with graph and other things thanks to this bridge, which was a very innovative things. We were trying to bring all system marrying with new system. I loved it. And document management has been right the first big success beside video games. So it remained with me all my life. I feel like I can, so I do.
Then I think you're like the perfect person to ask this question to, because like there's a lot of AI initiatives going out these days. Like everything is being deployed. Where do you think the genuine value is being produced these days, and what's just really good in a demo but doesn't really apply? Like for the age we have now, for I would say mid 2026.
Okay, so let me answer one question you asked me before. So how
Okay.
change coding with time? Because it applied to the answer to this thing that you're asking now. Okay. So
Okay.
when I start coding, you need to be very cautious not to waste memory, not to waste processing power. So instructions should be written in such a way that there is no useless loops and etc. etc. So developers were not only capable to think an architecture and transform it in code, but were able to optimize the code to be the most efficient as possible. As computer became powerful, wasting processing power has become the way to be able to code without knowing how to code properly. And this got very scary to me. Okay, I would say it started with Visual Basic, at the point where to make an application with a button that says hello, you add megabyte of files that you need to include, embed the libraries, etc., etc. Now it's got worse and worse and worse with time, right? Because computer became more and more powerful, memory more and more used, etc., etc. And no developer is able to code proper. I mean, like, even if it is able, a client is not gonna wait a month to see
Yeah.
something that
Yeah,
another
the
developer could
timelines don't make
show
sense.
in 2 days, right? So it
Yeah.
doesn't win quality, win speed of delivery and execution. Okay, and this is very dangerous. In fact, there are banking systems that can be broken very easily. So even though banks are still attached to COBOL and the old IBM mainframe, still today for many processes, many other applications, even mobile applications, are developed sometimes by outsourcing it, and the person that received the product has no capacity to evaluate the
Understand.
quality of the
Yeah.
code. Okay, now AI comes to the field. Okay, so not only I can make things at the speed of light. So honestly, in 10 minutes, I do what a sprint of a week would have produced with teams of developers. Okay, which make me deliver faster, but I have no clue of what code has been written by the AI. There can be
Yeah.
backdoors, there can be everything inside, okay? And nobody's looking at it. So there is a lot of trust in place. But on the other hand, sorry, if I am the
Okay.
person outsourcing a work, I can use AI to validate the quality of the work. The probably has been done by another AI at this point. Who knows? So the way that the approach to coding has changed, it is very interesting, mostly in the past few years. But in the before AI, it had this very interesting path forward. So now I can get to your
Listen,
last
the last
question. So
question.
where are we
Tying it
going
back.
with all this thing that we have
Yeah.
in our hands? We need to not to forget that we are at day zero. It's very interesting today to see how the American government stop models. They I don't know if it's
Yeah,
a
being deployed.
marketing stunt or they are serious or they don't know what they're doing, but they're for sure empowering. On the other side, we get from China everything for free, and there is even more powerful. So it's a very strange moment. But nonetheless, the beautiful, amazing thing that this vibe coding is producing, and the last model are coding properly, and maybe it means that they are also taking care of security and other thing, is this. And this is the huge change. Before, say I am an hairdresser, okay? And as a hairdresser, I have some problem that I would love a piece of software to solve for me, okay? I need to go to talk with a software developer, take a bet of a few $1,000s to just get him start working. Hope that what I am explaining to him is understood and implemented as is in my head, which is the most difficult thing. So now this is not happening anymore. I am the dresser. I sit in front of Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever people of choice. Claude is my choice. I explain what I want to do, and then I ask question to get it right, and then it's done in an afternoon. So solution are no more produced by a middleman. They may not understand what the problem is and not do the solution, and then the other side says, "I'm not gonna pay any more money. Do like this," so it become back. Now solution, at least a term of proof of concept, are implemented by the person that has the problem. So
Yeah.
finally, we're gonna have a lot of application that really go to the point. The people that want to use the application, is gonna find. This is gonna be the big change, I think.
I I think the people with domain knowledge are really going to benefit by adopting vibe coding and such. And the other question I wanted, like vibe coding is a thing where developers or people who want to function as developers use AI. How about integrating AI into products themselves? Like in that situation, which products do you think are going to win?
So AI need to be treated, sorry, as
Okay.
a solution for a specific part of the problem, but not as the full application. That's the big mistake a lot of people do, right? So implement an application as if you're implementing an application. Now, from piece of paper that being OCR, they need to extract name of cities, for example. And there are cities all around the world, or name of people, or logic inside the context of the piece of a page. Then, if I want to do the solution with a piece of software that I code, good luck. If I take the text, I send it to an LLM, then I send in another one, then I send to a third one to verify that all agree on the result if I am paranoid, if not just one. I will have that moment of the flow of my application taken care of in the optimal way without wasting millions of tokens that people know. Because
Yeah, yeah,
if I ask the full flow, it is useless, right? So
correct.
I don't use a Ferrari to go doing the
Yeah,
farming in the
correct.
countryside,
Just
right? So
just from a user experience perspective as well, it really ruins the whole thing. So you are correct in that.
yeah,
And
the bigger success is the user experience doesn't make a difference. In real practical terms, people that is using something need to have what they want. They don't need to know what is happening behind. I have a very funny. There was a kid, and I asked because I couldn't connect to the internet. There is internet. I see in his cell phone is using Facebook. So, you're using internet. No, this is not internet. This is Facebook. Without realizing that in order to chat in Facebook is actually using
you
the
need the
internet, right?
internet.
It's beautiful
Yeah,
because he doesn't have to know. Who cares, right? It's just you. It's just having the fact that he wants, and this is a good win, I guess.
you are correct. I'm going to like slightly ask you a different question because I know your background is in blockchain and decentralized systems. And now you've kind of adopted a lot of this AI and governance, and you have a wealth of expertise. And how do you manage to have it like in your mind? How does it all fit together? Like, is there a way it fits together?
Whatever is an emerging technology to me is fascinating and worth exploring and analyzing, right? Telecommunication, though, I have a very special love for it. When there was no legislation about it, I could have committed quite a certain amount of what today would be considered a crime, no, at the time, in phone hacking and various of those things. And I had connection with quite well-known people in the field. But even not a crime at all. When I was maybe 6, 7 years old, I'm Italian, so in Italy we had these phone booths where you put a token. There was really a coin shaped in a special way to make phone calls, and I will find one or buy one, and I put it inside, and I dial a Japanese phone number. And then at a certain point, I hear something, "Oh," and then the line drops. But the idea that me, little kid in Italy, got somebody in Japan to get up from bed or from the couch where they were sitting to answer, it gave me this, like superpower toward a
Yeah.
remote location. It's so fascinating. I still have goosebumps if I think about it today, okay, that I'm 52. So all the related to communication as being like something that I loved eternally since a little kid in more format. But when computer, which is a machine that fascinates me, can actually talk with another computer somewhere else, that was the wedding made in heaven. So that's why I became very expert on networks.
That's it. Okay, so which ideas do you think are do you still think telecommunications is an idea being slept on, or is a way to advance it forward, or like what other technology, what emerging technology do you think people are not paying enough attention to these days?
Well, there is one field of technology that I love, but I never been into too much because it requires too much hands-on, which I'm lazy to do. But is robotics. Okay, so
Yeah.
robotics is a science that is decades old, but married with AI, it becomes something completely different, right? Because a mechanical arm that I can code how it should be behaving. All right, I did software for numeric control machines when I was a teenager, right? But now being able to put a camera, a stream or a frames that is given to this magic box that nobody knows how it works in order to take a decision based on what I ask, and the command to move the arm come from this mystery box. That's something that I think is incredible, but it's not something secret. I mean, they are working hard in this field,
Oh,
robotic and so on.
m-
What?
maybe. Yeah.
What? No, sorry. What emerged a few years ago is still a thing, but people don't look at it. Is IoT, Internet of Things, where small devices, not just the refrigerator and the washing machine, but everywhere, because microcomputers are something that is really getting micro and powerful more than the computer I used to work when I start coding, right? But to code microcomputer, you need the ability to code as I was coding when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, with high respect for resources, because those are so small computers that you cannot burn electricity and waste electricity. I AI can help, but
We
is
need
an art
talented
form
people.
that didn't develop as much as I wished. Okay, interconnectivity between objects. We all buy the remote control for the AC that is intelligent, and this thing is sending data to a data center in another country every time I want to turn on and off my AC. People don't realize that even to open the door of the house, the lock is bridging through a data center. And this is the biggest things that we are not paying attention to, which is the trust we give to those machine that are smart, and they don't really do our own interest. So we should recode everything.
Yeah, I think you're correct. And if we ever, back in the day when we watched sci-fi movies, there's always this new tech that they show. And IoT robotics is a big part in all those. And if we ever want to see any of those things come to life, we do need to see a takeoff in those technologies, and not just the software side of things, also the
Right.
hardware side, like you said. And it's something to keep in mind for people. And finally, the question I have for you, as someone who's been working in tech for a very, very long time and has been passionate about tech as well, for anybody who wants to start using AI, start automating real workflows, what's the one thing you tell them to do and one trap you tell them to avoid? Of course, developers are a different category. We can also give advice to them as well. But for both people, what kind of advice would you give?
Okay. People sometimes forget that they have in front of them a machine that can answer any question. Okay. You can use Perplexity if you want the machine to search information around the internet for you, collate, and then answer to you. So, in front of a machine like this, going and spending $1,000 for a course to learn to use AI is the most idiotic things people can do, because you already have there the machine that can prepare the course for you, including the
Yeah.
$20 you pay every month. So, uh, is a little bit strange thing. People feel afraid to approach something because they feel they don't know, and they go somewhere else paying a lot of money to learn, something that,
You're you're
and
right. I think
ChatGPT
people
never
need
bite that, but
initiative, and that kind of self-directed learning are probably the most valuable things right now. I would agree with you there.
go and
Like it
ask
goes without saying.
to the AI directly. So that's
Yeah.
one important thing though, but this is useless to say this in a podcast like this, because the recipient is not going to listen to this. But family member of the recipient maybe do and intervene. A lot of people make the large mistake of using AI not as a mean but as an end. What I'm trying to say, AI is a tool that can help me. Look, my wife took a piece of land and with ChatGPT design a building for a spa, leverage all the piping and things, and build a spa that is operating now. So a woman with no knowledge on building, and did everything, even to printing the menu to the website, all made by AI. Amazing. Okay, that was a mean. Another thing is using AI as a replacement of a friend, of a confident. And it's a trap which is very dangerous, because it means a machine that has no clear idea what it's telling you. So, not to be expected to be somebody we can rely in that direction. I say this because I see a lot of people making this mistake. It can bite
Yeah.
back quite badly.
Yeah, you do hear stories and news articles about all of this, and it's a
I
pretty
mean,
tough.
for sure,
It's going to get, yeah, it's gonna get worse as it goes on. So having some kind of community to rely on or like partner is the best thing. And Roberto, these are all the questions I have for you. They were all the amazing answers that you gave me, and really thanks for coming on and talking to me and sharing a lot of your wisdom you've accumulated over the years.